welcome to Gentle Yoga at 2 p.m. I'm Jeani, your guide. We're in the community room at the ACC, and today's class is just another class exploring how yoga can help with aging issues like arthritis, just trying to unfold and get a little limberness and flexibility, as well as maintain just basic strength for everyday, just supportive poses. So one thing to think about that I've noticed in this last few days, if you're in the Sacramento area, we've had really beautiful sunny weather, cotton ball clouds and everything, but it's been very chilly and overcast. So if you have any arthritis issues, it might be affected by the weather as well. But notice how you might be feeling after your practice. One thing I noticed was the joints that were feeling very arthritic tends to benefit from the heat of that's generated from our modified sun salutations, and just kind of like openings in these really tight joint areas. So just something to notice as you're going through your practice. Move a little slower. If you're feeling thirsty, keep some water nearby you, because like the weather, dehydration can also affect your arthritic position. So that being said, we'll start at the back of the mat. And as we arrive, as we tend to, you can just notice the breath. Notice how you're feeling today. And we'll start moving to cultivating the breath. So as we're standing in our mountain, our home base pose, you can have a bend to the knees. You can kind of rock a little bit on the soles of the feet, and then just settle in. You don't have to be super straight in your mountain, but as we return, you may find your mountain being just a little longer, a little taller with each return. As you settle into the back of the mat, mountain, palms facing forward. We'll start to bring a connection to the body and the breath. Let's go ahead and bring the left hand to rest on our chest, right hand on the belly, right about belly button area. And for the next few breaths, notice how the energy enters the body. Perhaps the rib cage expands, collarbones lift. Maybe that hand on the heart can move with each inhale and with each exhale, feeling the energy leave the body. You can even gently press that belly hand inward, help push out the air. And the last part of the breath cultivation, see if you can bring the sound of the waves of the ocean to the back of the throat. And with that, we'll bring our hands to the sides. You can always be connected to that Ujjayi breath, on or off the mat. We'll go ahead and start our warm-ups. Lift the feet. If you have a tendency to grip the mat, you can roll the toes, lift the heels. We'll settle back into our mountain. Inhaling, imagine drawing energy from the floor, from the feet, up the legs, through the spine to the crown of the head, maybe even beyond. And the exhale, finding that energy returning to the earth, feeling just a little more rooted at the bottom of the exhale, your core engaged. Let's go ahead and inhale. Start to roll the feet towards the toes, that center of gravity shifting till you find that edge. And then use the next breath to slowly move the center of gravity towards the heels till you find that tipping point. And use the next couple of breaths to find the support at the foundation of the feet from heel to toe. And we'll meet somewhere at the middle, what seems to be center hopefully over the top of the ankle, nearer to the heels. Setting into our mountain, let's inhale nice and tall. Legs a little longer. And we'll exhale, just roll your weight towards the outer right edge of the feet. Inhaling all the way back up. And then exhaling to the left side. And we're just essentially moving that center of gravity from the left side of our feet to the right, noticing how the center of gravity shifts. And then we can meet back at center, feeling hopefully all 4 points of the soles of the feet, evenly distributing the weight. Inhale tall, once more in our mountain, a little longer. And we'll start making small circles in one direction. Imagine these circles are at about the ankles, and we start to radiate outward until we find the edge at the perimeter of our feet. Once you find that edge, go ahead and tighten in the circles and return to center, somewhere at the top of the ankles, setting into our mountain, resetting it once more with the next inhale, and small circles in the opposite direction this time. Notice the difference, how that center of gravity shifts ever so subtly, even in this direction. And then we'll return to center once that edge has been explored, and drop on down into our mountain, just like water going down a drain. Go ahead and do any movement to the feet to release any grip, any activated muscles, and we'll return to our mountain once more. Inhaling nice and tall. See if you can lengthen just a little more. And we're just going to start to shift our weight from side to side, lifting the ball of the feet as we turn our torso more and more to one side. And you can start to feel how the body mechanics, the momentum works with the body as you're shifting from one side to the other, arms relaxed. Maybe they'll start to gather momentum, and on their own just start to sway and gently tap opposite sides. And as you're getting more and more swiveled to the other side, we're lifting more of the ball of the foot. We don't want to torque the knee or the ankles. You might find the torso moving independently of the bottom, and just a slight twist. And then use the next couple of breaths to let the energy decrease and diminish. We'll return to mountain. And straighten out our mat in case that was crooked. In the interim, our transition might find adjustments need to be made again to return to center. So coming back to our mountain, we'll move on up to the shoulders. So standing a little taller. See if you can lengthen through the legs. We're not hyperextending the knees. Just see if you can stack the knees on top of the ankles, hips on top of the knees. Gently tuck the tailbone under, and see if you can just pull the chest upwards, lifting. Palms facing forward. Take the next inhale. Lift the shoulders up towards the ceiling. And then exhale, roll them back and down. As we exhale downward, engage the core. Fully exhaled here, feeling rooted at the feet. We'll do 3 sets. 3 more sets of just finding release, hopefully in the shoulders, by simply lifting up and rolling them back and down with the exhale. Inhale finds length, energy entering the body. Exhaling, find us releasing, hopefully, with that roll back and down, tucking into the mid-back. With the next inhale, we're starting, hopefully, the next round. Roll them forward and down on the next 4 breath cycles. And notice any differences in the shoulders as you release, hopefully, with each exhale. And after the very last one, go ahead and return to your mountain. Make any adjustments. Again, release the feet if you've tended to grab a hold of the mat, shaking loose any residual activation. Move on up to the neck. Resetting the mountain once more. Gentle tuck of the chin. Feel as if you've got that string pulling you at the crown of the head, bringing everything, the ear, stacked over the shoulder, over the hips, over the knees, over the ankles. And all that center of gravity, somewhere at the top of the ankles, nearer to the heels. Let's go ahead and inhale. Feel the string lifting the crown of the head, And then exhale, let the right ear drop towards the right shoulder. Left and right shoulder in the same line, but release with each exhale. Maybe you can turn the head with the next exhale. And as we're using about 4 breath cycles for each of these warm-ups, see if you can release on the left side of the neck with each inhale and exhale. Maybe the very last exhale finds the eyes resting on the rightmost of your periphery. And after you're done with that 4th exhale, inhale the eyes, the gaze, the head completely back up to center. So all you have to do is exhale. The left ear can gently float towards the left shoulder. Make sure there's lots of space between the left lobe and the shoulder. We don't want to rest it there. Just finding some space, some length in the right side of the neck. Hopefully the gaze is turned by now if it hasn't already. Finding that lift at the chest. Finding the release everywhere in the right side of the neck, all the way down the center of support, down the back, palms facing forward. After the very last exhale, you can inhale the eyes, the gaze, the crown of the head lifting towards the ceiling. So with the exhale, you can float the eyes towards the top of the mat, resting there at the top. See if you can find length to the back of the neck. Inhaling, we're still at that slight tilt at the crown of the head, a slight diagonal tilt towards the ceiling. And with each exhale, the body from the shoulders down, solid support. And after your last exhale, go ahead and bring the eyes up with the inhale, looking towards the ceiling and resting there. When you can see without craning the back of the neck. 3 to 4 more breath cycles here. See if you can open up through the throat, the tongue, the mouth. You can always even let the tongue roll out and give yourself a deep sigh. And after your last inhale and exhale, go ahead and bring the eyes back to center. And the body coming back into our mountain. You can just shake out any residual tension, activation, bounce the knees. Let's see, flick the wrists, alternately roll the shoulders, one, then the other. And then we'll start with modified sun salutation folds. So bringing the arms downward, reaching downward, energizing like you're really trying to find the fingers towards the mat. Inhale, extend while we're still reaching. And at the top, we're going to exhale, engage the core and start to hinge. Nice, strong back. And if you need to, you can always walk the hands halfway down. But come on down to your first extended fold. It's our Ragdoll Fold. Keep a bend to the knees. If the backs of the legs are really tight, the bigger the bend will be. But we want to find the hips somewhere situated where that column of support is somewhere at about the ankles. So your hips may be pretty far back there if you've got a deep bend to the knees. But if not, you're just finding some release, hopefully, in our first fold of the practice. Go ahead and you can alternately gently bend, then try to straighten one knee at a time alternately, and then keep that gentle bend. You're just finding length as you come along. Notice if you're holding on to the head. You can gently bobble the head from side to side, forward and back. Maybe even let it dangle like a plum weight. And if your hands are touching the mat, shins, forearms maybe on the thighs, wherever your next position with the hands are, we're just going to inhale and then exhale. See if you can reach a little deeper. Then prepare to come out. You can use your hands to walk up the shins. Inhaling, we're going to start to roll up the spine using our hands to help guide us back up if we need. And at the top, the head is the last to stack on top of the neck, palms facing forward. And give yourself a couple of breaths. Let the blood rush back to the head. We're going to inhale one more time. And exhale. Feel rooted in a mountain. Reaching downward. One more modified fold. Inhale, hands come up. Exhale, engage the core and hinge at the hips and fold. Bend the knees if you need. Come on down for your second fold. And as you float here for a shorter time, not as long as the first, you can perhaps lift the toes of one foot and then the other. You can again alternately bend one knee, then the other. You can sway the hips. But with the next breath, prepare to come out. One more time. We're going to inhale. Press wherever your hands are into. Fingertips on the floor, hands to the shins, forearms to the thighs, and lengthen. Exhale, return to your fold. And then we can inhale. Choose to come up with a slow roll up or with a strong straight back. But either way, engage the core and inhale, come on up, your choice. Hands above the head. And then exhale, hands together, down heart center. And we'll begin our walking meditation, pressing into the palms, engaging the core. Bring standing weight to the left leg as you lift the right foot. Exhale the right heel, ball of foot, and toes down. Fully exhaled there. Let's inhale, bring the left foot up, and exhale the left foot down. And as we make our way to the top of the mat, one full breath cycle per step, we'll meet at the top of the mountain, looking down at the fingertips. Inhale, press into the palms and watch them rise up towards the ceiling, and then separate them at the top. Exhale, hinge at the hips, engaging the core, feeling that center of gravity at the hips over the heels. Fold fully exhaled here. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, bring the hands down and start walking the feet back. We're going to step a right foot back all the way, left foot back all the way. Inhale those shoulders over the wrists, and then let's bring our knees down. Untuck the toes and just see about how you feel supported here. Are the shoulders over the wrists? If your wrists are kind of sensitive, you can always bring the hands out a little more. See if you can support the weight at the feet, at the top of the feet, and with the shins more than the knees. We don't want to dump all our weight into the knees. With the next inhale, you can go ahead and bring the hands back under the shoulders if you brought them forward. Tuck the toes, lift the hips, and exhale. Shift the hips back towards the back of the mat, lengthening through those extended arms by just pressing. Extending through the arms helps you to keep a strong upper body. Shoulder blades are moving away from the spine. And your ears are not caving, or the shoulders are not caving into the ears. Bring the hips up just slightly and exhale. Allow your heels to lower wherever they may be. You can bend one knee and bend the other just like we did in our deep fold, just to lengthen through the back of the legs. One more inhale. Feel the hips lifting. One more exhale. As our hips are still lifting up, we are gently pressing downward in our hands and with the feet toward the mat. Now one more inhale. We'll roll our eyes to look towards the hands. Exhale. Engage the core and start to walk the hands. Bend your knees if you need to the back of the mat. So we can fold here, fully exhaled. Inhale, half lift. Lengthen through the legs best you can in the back. And then exhale, just float on back to your fold. And then engage the core. Press into the feet, firm up the legs. Feel that core engaged and come on up. You can walk the hands up or you can come up with a straight, strong back. But inhale all the way back up. Hands above the head, hands down, heart center with the exhale. Inhale, second modified walking meditation. Let's lift our right foot. Exhale the right foot down. Remember, you can always press into the palms to engage the core if you feel a little wobbly. And we'll take one full breath cycle per step. And just do your best. If you fall out, it's okay. Come on back. We'll meet at the top of the mat. Looking down at the fingertips, inhale, press into the palms, extend the hands over the head, engage the core. and hinge at the hips. Start to bend at the knees if you need. Float on down to your second fold. Inhale, lengthen through the back and legs best you can. And then exhale, bend the knees as you fold once more. Placing the hands at either side of the feet, we're going to bring the feet back, long legs back for our high plank this time. So inhaling, nice long legs, shoulders over the wrists. One more breath cycle here, nice and long, heels to the crown of the head. And then inhale, lift the hips. Exhale, press into those extended arms and come back to the down dog. Fully exhaled here, we're staying for about 3 breath cycles. So notice if your head is somewhere above your arms. See if you can gently lengthen from the hips down to the arms and bring the head somewhere in between the arms. Maybe your ears are somewhere in between the upper arms. Inhale, bring the heels up, lifting up to the tiptoes, balls of the feet, and then exhale, heels toward the mat. Inhale, look towards the eyes with your, look towards your hands with your eyes. Exhale, engage the core, and walk the hands back. Bend those knees if you need. Fully exhaled, return to the fold at the back of the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, engage the core. Come on up, your choice. Fully inhaled. Exhale, hands down, heart center, and finally down to the side. It's a great time for a little bit of water if you need. If you're fine, we'll be moving on to our balance pose next, and we'll go into our chair. I'm going to drink some water because I'm very parched, it seems like. With our chair, you have the option of just lifting to the toes on our second set of chair. If you need help with that, you can always use the block on your heels, or you can just bring some weight and see if your heels lift. These are all just steps. But as we're moving through this, chair pose will help us to feel, hopefully, that, that core engagement and its relationship to our balance. So I'm going to get off the mat here because it's just a little bit cushiony. I need more stability there. So you don't have to do the block for your heels if you don't want to. You could just roll up or just stay in a regular chair. I'm just going to give you that option if you want. But as we stand on our mat in our mountain, hips distance are our feet. You can keep them close, the arches touching, but that's more challenging. So especially if you have tight hips, this is just more comfortable to have the feet at hips distance apart. And then just notice how you're feeling in your mountain. From the side, is your, are you kind of pitched back? Is the tailbone pitched back? See if you can tuck under the tailbone and lift up through the chest. See if you can stack the hips over the knees, over the ankles, without hyperextending those knees. We just want to be able to stand comfortably. Now, as we do that, hopefully your chin, notice if it's pitched forward or if it's somewhere back. We just want to gently tuck under the chin. Hopefully the ears and the shoulders will bring that all into alignment so we're in one column from this side view. Or we'll do our best getting there. So with the next inhale, let's go ahead and engage the core. Feel that weight in the heels, in the core. Firm up the knee, the thighs. Inhaling the hands up. You can have them straight up or you can have them at an angle. Make sure I'm not muting the mic. And then we're just going to simply bend the knees until we feel our glutes engage. And you'll feel it as soon as you just lower those hips downward some. You don't have to go too far. Once you're here, you can keep the arms up. You can keep the hands at heart center, draw them down to about the chest level, and feel an engagement in the core. Engage the core, firm it up, gently press into the palms, and you'll feel hopefully that center of gravity right here at the hips, somewhere over the heels. And I have an upright torso, but if the hands are out in front of you at an angle and you're very deep in your chair, your torso may also be at an angle. So your chair may be a little more upright It may just be moving towards the chair with the weight in the heels. But once you find that comfortable spot, we're going to take 3 more breaths. 1 more inhale, 1 more exhale, 1 more inhale, 1 more exhale. And then let's inhale to lift. Exhale, hands down, heart center, relaxing the arms at our side. And then go ahead and give yourself a gentle wobble of the knees. You can lift 1 foot, kick out any residual tension. If sometimes it's hard to deactivate your muscles, you may be going through the day with something still clenched that you don't need to clench. Okay, our second round. So if you want to lift up the heels, you can. If you want to walk back onto the brick and the block and have that help you with the heels up, it's up to you as well. I will demonstrate, but you're more than welcome to just stay where you are. So with the next inhale in our mountain, we're going to lift up our arms where it's comfortable, and then exhale. Bend the knees and sink the hips downward until you feel the glutes engage. Quads are definitely engaging. See if you can lift the toes. That'll definitely let you know if your weight is shifted towards the heels. You can rest your arms if you want. You can keep them at arms at prayer. You can keep them at your hips. Whatever is comfortable for you. Now with the next inhale, hopefully you've found your sweet spot. You can start to roll up to the toes if you'd like. You might need your arms out to help balance. You can think about just stepping onto the block if that helps you. But you're engaging the core and you're still engaging the arms as well. From the hips to the fingertips, we're engaging outward with the arms. With the core, we're engaging it. With the glutes, those are our column. From the hips down to the heels, this is our column of support. With the next inhale, let's go ahead and straighten. Bring the hands down, heart center. Walk off your block if you need. Bring the hands to rest and shake that off. See if you can release any residual muscle activation that you weren't aware of holding. And then we can come on down to the mat. And as we're coming down to the mat, find your safest, easiest way. For me, I like to start my fold, walking my hands down if I need to. And then I can start to pitch forward and bring myself into a squat if I need. Finally, to a hands and knees position. And down on the floor, we're going to meet in a hero pose. So bringing our hips down to our heels, you might need the block. In our base hero pose, you can even have a folded blanket. Let me demonstrate that. And if you're already in the hero pose, just relax. And if you enjoy having a tuck with the toes for that seiza toe hold, you can do that. You're more than welcome. But in case you're wondering what a folded towel behind the knees might look like, it could be anything from that to a little thinner. But sometimes that's enough space to help, enough support to help bring the hips down to the heels as well. Just depends. So as you're in your hero, knees are together, but they can always be slightly apart if it's uncomfortable for your knees. We're more focused on just gently sitting in this foundation of hero, where the hips are either meeting the distance with the help of a prop or they're directly on the heels. And the torso can lift up. It's just like a cherry on top situation. If you're still working on opening the shins, helping with the knees and the hips in this position, you don't have to worry about the upper body being upright. When you're done, which is probably now, we'll go ahead and walk the hands forward to help raise the hips. Go ahead and tuck the toes just gently. You'll get a nice stretch to the arches. And then return the feet. And we're just going to bring the knee open just a little bit. maybe a 1/2 inch width open, and see if you can bring the feet just a little wider behind you. Bring a block so that you can walk the hands back and sit on the block. If that's not comfortable for you, you might just be here, being able to hopefully open up through the hips. We have an internal rotation of the thighs. We just want to bring the hips down to the heels or a block or something, and eventually find that limberness where our hips are cradled by the heels on either side of the hips. And again, if the torso benefits from being upright, you can sit upright. Otherwise, you can just work on the base of your pose here. Taking your very last inhale and exhale. Come on out. Inhaling the torso upwards, walking the hands up, and then walking the hands forward so you can lift the hips. Bring the feet together and just allow your hips to gently roll to the side, kind of like a deer. And then you can bring the bottom leg out. And keep this sort of deer position here for just a moment. Notice how that feels. It's just a slight counterweight. You're resting on the right side of your thigh, or whichever side of this thigh that you're on. And then we can go ahead and inhale. Start to roll forward, or roll to the other side so we can bring our feet forward. And you're just going to get a nice little massage on the glutes. And you can gently bring the knees to the other side. And again, we're in that same deer position, but now we're on the other side. And notice how that feels. Just giving ourselves the rest on the left side of the opposite leg now. And then we can inhale. Bring the roll again. We're rolling on the back of our glutes on our seat. And then we'll make our way down to a staff position. Hopefully you had fun in there. Okay, so in our staff, we're just going to gently lengthen through the legs. You might have to roll over and pull some of your glute flesh out. You just want to feel like you're balanced on the sits bones. We're not leaning towards one side or the other, so sometimes it helps to rock, just so you can get your bearings and notice if that brings you closer to what feels like center, that you have both sits bones evenly supporting you. Then you can take the pelvic bowl and gently roll it forward and back. Notice how that plays with the chest. We want to lift up with the chest, so we're going to have the top of the hips kind of pointing forward while the tail of the tailbone kind of goes back a little bit, and then we'll just roll upwards. Just a little bit here, and hopefully find some comfortable 90-degree angle here. Once that's there, let's go ahead and bring the feet at about your hips distance apart. Gently tap out the knees. You can point the toes. You can do the same with your hands. Flex the feet, wrists, point and relax. You can shake it out. You can bring your finger digits out, wiggle your toes, and start making small movements, rolling of the ankles. And this is, you know, it might be doing something like this, so don't worry about it. You just want to bring some movement. You don't have to be coordinated. You can just make some waves with the hands and the wrists. It's just a nice little treat while we're here. When that is done, we'll go ahead and sitting nice and upright. We're going to inhale, start to bend the left knee. You can help your left knee bend, and then before it gets a little too far up here, we're just going to start to externally rotate your hip outwards so we can draw the inner, the sole of the foot towards the inner leg. So depending on which leg you grab, all you're doing is just slightly bending the knee and then externally rotating as you're drawing the sole of the foot closer to the opposite leg. Now your hips might be really tight. You can use the support of a block underneath your knee. And what we're going to notice is how our hips shifted as we started to draw this half butterfly, if you will, into this left leg for me. So as we're opening up with the left hip, seeing how that feels in our knee, in our ankle, we may need to adjust. If we went too far, we could always lift up the foot gently and slide it downwards. And as we get longer down the leg, we do want to internally bring that knee back in. So eventually, if we have to come all the way back out, we would internally rotate the thigh and bring the leg back to center. All right. Well, we did one hold there. Let's go ahead and move to the other one. So sitting up nice and tall once more in our staff. We can inhale, start to bend the right knee, and you can help your right knee along if you need, and start to open up the right hip. Externally rotate it outward as you draw the right sole of the right foot towards the inner leg. And that would be your left leg, hopefully. So we're here, and we're noticing how our knee feels here and how that transition felt in our hips. And as we're sitting, finding that space for a half butterfly, half staff position here, we might need to support our lifted knee. We might need to adjust the position of the sole of the foot on the inner leg of the opposite leg. Just see where you are in your practice. We're trying to keep our sits bones evenly supporting the weight, and we're just opening up the right hip, lengthening through the left leg, doing all sorts of stretching with the right leg as well. And keeping your breath. And then let's go ahead and bring the other leg out, removing your block if you need, internally rotating that hip and lengthening the leg downward. Go ahead and tap out that knee if you need. And a gentle rolling once more of the ankles. If you didn't get a chance to roll in one direction, see if you're rolling in the other direction. Feels good now. We're just counter stretching. You can do the same with the wrists as well. One thing that's really nice, especially in our staff position, is you can interlace the fingers here and kind of bring a gentle, like interlaced fist, lengthening through those arms, feeling as if somebody's pulling you from these the hands, so you can get a nice stretch to the back of the shoulders. If your arms are at chest level, it's just nice to have that long stretch, and then you can slightly lift, feeling the stretch to the upper shoulders, slightly lower, feeling the stretch to the upper shoulders. And as you move along this trajectory here, you can feel more of the stretch. The higher your fist goes, more of the stretch is underneath. Lower it goes, the more of the stretch on the top. And then we can release and shake out the hands. Go ahead and let the shoulders be nice and soft. Coming back to our staff once more. Notice if the feet rolled out, we're going to roll them back in so that the knees and the toes are centered towards the ceiling, and then relax the legs. Don't let them roll out, but just let them relax where they are. And the next thing we can do here is bring out our right arm. Take a, I'm going to turn to the side here. Take a hold of your armpit, of the arm that's stretched out. Take a hold of that armpit with the opposite hand. And we're just going to gently hold it and just kind of keep that in place so we can smooth the arm back. Palm is facing back away from you. And you're going to get a nice stretch to the front. Bend the elbow and see if you could just bring the right hand to rest. See if you can bring it to the back of your sacrum. And then we'll go ahead and lift the arm once more. Bend it at the elbow and draw the elbow across the shoulder. You don't want to force this, but it might feel nice to gently pull the shoulder, pull the elbow towards the chest as you feel open. And you can externally rotate the shoulder that way, and I'll get a nice stretch to the back. Let's go ahead and release the right arm, release the shoulders. Just let them kind of roll forward and back. And then I'm going to turn around again. We'll do the same thing with the opposite arm. So sitting up nice and tall. Let's go ahead and bring that left arm out. supported underneath the armpit here with the opposite hand. And we're going to bring that palm away, just going across this horizontal plane. And feel this nice stretch. We'll go ahead and bring the palm facing forward once more and bend at the elbow. Take a nice deep breath here. Exhale, bring that elbow inward, straight across the chest. You may end up here, and that feels really nice. Play with this. This is where you get to adjust to your, for your special position. It might feel really nice to bring the shoulder externally rotating outward as you gently bring this elbow in towards the chest. You can gently tuck the chin as well. One more deep inhale. One more deep exhale. And then we're going to bring the arm out once more. Stretch it one more time. Bring that palm to face backward. And then we'll bring it back down. And go ahead and shake that out. Okay. Bring the hands out to the side, palms facing up. Let's go ahead and bring the arms up. Hopefully the mic is going to stay at the side. And our hands, our fingertips are pointing straight up towards the ceiling. See if you can touch the palms together. If you can't, don't worry about that. Stretch up once more. Exhale, let the arms float down behind you and kind of sweep them back and let the back of the hands rest back behind your hips. May not be that far, but see if you can relax the tops of the shoulders. Go ahead and bring the hands somewhere back behind your hips. See if the fingertips can meet. Lift up the chest. Notice if you're caving. Inhaling, nice long chest. Crown of the head is lifting. Exhale, feel rooted. Feel the sits bones rooting into the floor. Engage the core. Help push the air out. Draw that belly button in towards the spine. Relax the arms. And then inhale, let the palms rest on the thighs. Take another inhale, and we're going to slowly bring the knees of both legs to bend. And if you can, while we're seated, bring the soles to touch. So that may occur with your feet far away from you, so you have more of a diamond shape. Or if your hips are very open and the knees are open, you might have the heels closer to you in more of a butterfly shape. But we want to sit still on our sits bones and sit upright. My hips are really tight, so I'm not going pretty far back there at all. So it just depends on where your practice is as well. But if you're good and you can release the hands, then bring them to the side. See if the fingertips pointing in the same direction as the front of the mat or where your feet are. See if that helps with the stretch of the forearms. You can bend the elbows to get more of a stretch. You can lift up the palm, turn the fingertips towards the side. See what that does to the shoulders. You can turn once more if that feels good to palms flat on the mat or just maybe farther away from the hips to see if you can get the fingers to point towards the back of the mat. And none of this is hopefully hurting your elbow. You're just moving so you can find a nice stretch, but we're not going to force anything. And then walk the fingers back forward and go ahead and start to bring the soles of the feet back onto the mat. And you can bring your hands hopefully back to help bring the knees back up. And we're going to just simply let the back of the let the back curve a little bit and bring the hands behind your hips. We're going to be up on our bridge position like this with a drop of the knees to one side, a windshield wipe drop of the knees to one side. Feet do not move position, they just roll from side to side. And we're going to get a nice glute massage as we're windshield wiping from one side to the other. If you're feeling comfortable in this, you might be able to get a gentle twist. And that would just mean that as your knees drop to one side, your torso gently twists to the other. Not too deeply, just enough. And you're really moving with the bent knees and bent elbows. And it's nice and slow rocking. And then we'll come back to center and bringing ourselves back into our staff position once more. Tap out the knees. And we're going to bring the feet into the butterfly shape once more. And this time we might find more of an opening in the hips. So see if you can come down a little farther, come into a closer butterfly position, or if you're in the same position, that's fine. Keep more of that diamond shape. But you might be able to bring more of your hands towards the ankles, towards the shin. So you can now sit upright. Instead of leaning back, we're now hopefully having our torso upright and nice and tall inhale. Feel from the root all the way through the spine, through the crown of the head, as if you're trying to get nice and long. You might lean back a little bit with the shoulders, but we're trying to sit upright. And then we exhale and just simply fold forward. If we're tight, we're probably not going to fold very far at all. We just naturally bring the torso forward as we hinge at the hips, and then we stop. I barely moved like 1/4 of an inch. So it's just that intention, and then you can exhale, allow the shoulders to relax. Let the neck gently relax. You can have a hold of your ankles. You can even have your hands underneath the thighs if that helps you. But we're hopefully finding a release in the hips. And we're having a nice stretch to the outer shin muscles here as well. And if at any time this is not comfortable for you, you can always come out of it as we typically do and just wait in a comfortable seated position. But as we're here, a couple more breaths, we're finding just a relaxing of the body so our body can open up in this seated sort of butterfly fold. One last exhale. And then we can inhale, start to lift up with the chest. If your hands have a hold of your thighs, start to lean back a little bit on the hips so you can bring the knees upwards, bringing the soles of the feet down. So now we're going to be in that base bridge position again. Bringing the hands to where our hips were, we can hopefully lengthen through the legs and tap out the knees. Bending your elbows back here gives you a little more length, so hopefully you can release through the hips. And then we're going to bring ourselves to our belly. So one more roll onto the belly and come onto the belly best that you can. From here, you can just roll onto your sides, tucking the knees to one side and rolling onto the belly. And give yourself some time to unfold. We've been sitting for a long time. We've had our hips flexed for a very long time. And I'm just trying to talk without muffling the mic, but hopefully your face is resting somewhere on the mat. It can be resting on one cheek, face turned to one side. It can be resting with your back of the hands, kind of pillowing, supporting the brow line. If your elbows are comfortable here at the shoulder line, maybe a little higher, you should be able to rest pretty easily here. If that's not working for you, you can always bring the arms down and resting on the cheek. But definitely give yourself a balance of a gentle stretch to the other side by turning the gaze. And for a couple breaths, rest there. And then we'll bring our face down to the mat, bring the arms down to the side if they were pillowing the forehead. And just allow the chest to support the upper body. Back of the hands are nice and relaxed. On the mat, at your side, arms extended. Take the next inhale. We're going to lengthen through our left leg. Hopefully it's underneath our hip bones, feet distance apart. But just lengthen through that left leg. And you still have contact with the mat. Feeling the length. Hopefully from the left hip all the way down to the left toes. And then relax that left leg. Go ahead and inhale, lengthen through the right leg. Keep contact with the top of that foot on that mat. And the leg should still be in contact with the mat.
If you extend and successfully lengthen from the hip all the way to the toes, your kneecap, your right kneecap might lift slightly, but we're not hyperextending the knee. Exhale, release. Let the right glute release, right thigh, calf, all the way down to the foot. With the next inhale, take the fingertips and walk them straight up so that we have them at about our eyesight and the elbows are at about the shoulders. Okay, then we're going to pivot the elbows outwards and bring the hands to rest underneath the eyes, eyebrows once more. And here we're going to lengthen through both legs. And just keep that nice length there. See if you can engage the glutes all the way down to the toes. Just lengthen the legs. Keep in contact with the mat. Take a deep breath here, and then exhale, release. Bring the arms down. Let the chin and the mouth rest on the mat. Palms are down now on the mat. Arms extended to the side. We're going to extend through the arms once more. Extend through the legs, pointing the toes, keeping contact. And then you can inhale just a little bit more and see if you can lift the feet. Inhale one more time. See if you can lift the hands. And we're just extending. Our body is supported maybe by our thighs all the way to our shoulders. Maybe the shoulders and the thighs are lifted. And we're just balancing on our pubic bone and chest. Exhale, let the feet down, let the hands down, let the shoulders and pelvis relax. And with the next best intention, roll onto your back. And we'll get ready for Shavasana. However you'd like to make it into Shavasana, actually, I should say. So if you have a special way, go ahead and come on over to the back. Bring a blanket for extra support if you need. You have a bony sacrum. Whatever you need to feel comfortable for the next 5 minutes. Shavasana is about allowing the body to respond to the practice. So once you're comfortable on the back, making sure any pinched skin is straightened out. You can put a blanket over your body. We're going to lay down nice and flat, support the back as you see fit, support the neck, and the feet can either be together or the feet can be pointed towards the corners of the mat, but supporting yourself either at the neck with a blanket or the back of the sacrum to the neck with a folded blanket, or maybe even a blanket on top of you to keep you warm. It was really cold today. As you allow the arms to rest at the side, palms facing up, gently close the eyes. You can keep them open if you'd prefer, but just soften the gaze and return to the breath. When you hear the 3 bells, we'll awaken. bring the mind back to the body. Take note of sounds outside the room and sounds within the room. Notice the breath as it enters the nose, the breath as it exits the nose. And as you return to the body vessel, you're welcome to make any movements that help you in that transition. You can wiggle the fingers, toes, rock from side to side. And we'll meet in an upright seated position. And one of the things I've noticed on these really cold days, it's really hard to find that warmth. So one of the breath exercises we've been doing in this class has been one of my go-to exercises. If I ever feel a chill inside and I can't seem to get warm, rubbing the hands as well always helps too. And as we're rubbing the hands, generating heat within our own bodies, one thing you can do after this, give yourself about 20 seconds of rubbing, and then place the palms over your eyes. You can just cup your eyes. If you feel cold, having that warmth in the hands over the eyes, over the temples. And then at the base of the skull, you can gently tip the head back and bring the fingers to massage right under the base of the skull, under the jawline, and flick it. And it just feels so nice. Now that's one way of generating that heat and spreading it into parts of the body that might not feel as warm. Having the heat in your hands, it's very nice. Another way to generate that heat is with our Kapala body breathing exercise we've done in this class, the power of fire breathing. So I'm going to turn to the side. And what we've done in the past is just sat upright in an easy seated position. And you can sit on your bottom or you can sit kneeling, whatever is comfortable for you. But we want to be upright, having our seat nice and supported. And what we'll do is give ourselves 2 rounds of 10. And on the 10th exhale, we just let everything exhale out. Sounds like that. And as soon as we're out of the air, it's about 4 or 5 seconds, we hold that in. And we hold it where we think it's our root, where we're about to cut our urination stream. You just want to hold that pelvic floor up. And then basically chin tuck, so you can have this energy sort of trapped between the root and through the to the throat. And that'll help generate a little more heat. So by the short bursts of air that you hear, they're always through the pursed lips, and it's and you'll see my belly is acting like a bellowing action. So I don't even really inhale. It's more of a pressing out, pushing out with the belly abdominals, and that's what enables me to draw a little bit of air inward. I'm not consciously just drawing an inhale. So as we're doing that, we'll generate more heat through our body. So if you want to sit with your feet in an easy seated position, in a staff position, or in a kneeling position, whatever's comfortable for you, we just want to make sure we're not sitting with a curved spine. We want a nice upright spine. And we'll go ahead and begin by inhaling deeply and then exhaling slowly through pursed lips 10 times. And I'll hold my hand up so we can count. I was hoping you could see the side, but I guess that doesn't really matter at this point. So inhaling nice and deeply and then exhale through pursed lips. Holding it, chin lock, hold it for about 3 to 4 seconds. And then we release. We release the lock in our root. We release that chin. We let the breath freely move through our lungs. We'll do that a second time. So taking a nice deep breath, inhaling, hold it, go.
Hold it. Chin lock. And then we release. Sometimes you can feel a little warmth in the lips. Sometimes it's all in the belly, but hopefully it feels a little warmer for you. You can extend the 10 set rounds to like 20, and that'll get the heat going. The average couple of body breathing exercise does about 30 with each round. So you're really on fire at the end of that. Anyhow, let's go ahead and bring our hands to heart center. Thank you so much for joining me. Jeani here at the ACC Community Center. Hope you have a wonderful day. Namaste.
Namaste.